name is Antonio Secola. I'm the president and founder of AlChavo.com. In Puerto Rico, as in other jurisdictions, we have certain requirements with the local government. One of these requirements is that certain payments that are done between businesses are required to be reported to the Treasury Department. These payments can be rent, professional services, dividends, interest, and some other types of payments. Some of these payments are also required to be subject to a withholding at source, meaning that when payments are being made, certain percentages need to be withheld from those payments and forwarded to Hacienda on a given forward date. Usually, or the most common payments that are subject to withholding are payments done to professional services. Professional services as architects, CPAs, attorneys, cleaning services are usually subject to a 7% withholding for amounts paid over $1,500 in a given natural year. This means that if a professional service bills another company, and let's say for example it's a $3,000 invoice and it's subject to withholding because it's one of these payments that is subject to withholding at source, then the person or the company making that payment needs to make a withholding of 7% of the excess amount over the first $1,500. In this case, the second $1,500 are subject to 7%. Let's say that the same company in the same natural year bills your company $5,000 more. Then that second payment will be completely subject to the 7% withholding, and the total payment will be subject to the 7% withholding, and the person making that payment needs to make that withholding while doing the payment. Every withholding made needs to be forwarded or remitted to the Treasury Department by the 10th of the following month. These payments are done electronically through two portals that Hacienda currently have. Eventually they're going to merge it just to one, but they're Colecturía Virtual or the system now called Suri. Every month the withholdings made need to be forwarded by the 10th of the following month. At the end of the year, each business in Puerto Rico needs to make a reconciliations of the payments made during the year, plus report specific by specific, vendor by vendor, to whom these payments were made. Please note that we need to make 480 forms, which are the equivalents of the 1099s in the States. We need to make one form per payee, per supplier, and we have different forms for payees or suppliers that were subject to withholding and others that were not subject to withholding. The difference between the forms is that the forms that were not subject to withholding, that you make no withholding when you make the subsequent payment, are forms 486A, and the ones that have withholding that needs to get reported are forms 486B. Both forms need to be filed with the Treasury Department by February 28th or 29th of the year end. They are all done electronically and need to include a sequential number that Hacienda or the Treasury Department provides to each business. It is very important to report the amounts correct to Hacienda and to actually report it at the end of the year, because if businesses do not report these transactions, Hacienda might, in an audit, eliminate those deductions from your return. For example, if you make a lot of payments to subcontracted services and those subcontracted services amount to $100,000, if you don't report those transactions at the end of the year, Hacienda can eliminate that deduction from your tax return, and therefore your taxable income will increase by that amount. So it's critical to comply not with the withholdings every month, but also with the year-end reporting, so that Hacienda won't question your deduction of those expenses. I hope this information was useful and that you continue doing business in Puerto Rico. Thank you.